They will take one of the 4 spots, and unless Scotland or the Netherlands really turn things on in the last year of the tournament next year, the third year of the 3 that this is played across 2024 to 2026, it will be USA that will lift the title. And you can't help but argue that they would deserve every single piece of it. They've been outstanding in everything that they've done. Their batting is world class. They've got such depth to it. Their bowling, I think, for me, is really consistent and effective as well. You look at Sarah Netravalkar going past 100 ODI wickets, becoming the first American bowler to do that. Nosh Kenjie remarkably didn't play the first 2 games. Jesse Singh has been consistent, and then Harmeet Singh is such a find. He really is. So yeah, look, superb side. USA deserve a lot of praise. But it's the inverse situation for Nepal. They're now staring at a position where, if we look at the table, they're stuck in 7th. They've picked up no points from the 3 matches here so far. They've lost to UAE, who are beneath them, and have reduced the gap to just 4 points between 7th and 8th. And all of a sudden, there may need to be a readjustment of sights for this campaign. And that campaign may need to, in reality, be looked at as a case of, we might not be able to finish in the top 4 anymore. We might have to target 5th or 6th. A reminder as to how this structure works: the top 4 will go automatically to the ICC Men's Cricket World Cup qualifier that will be held in probably Q2, so between, let's say, April and June of 2027. They will go and join the bottom 2 full members. As of right now, it is Bangladesh and Ireland who will be going to the qualifier as well, although that could change if England or the West Indies get dragged into it. So the top 4, as of right now: USA, the Netherlands, Oman, and Scotland. Those 4 sides will be joining Ireland and Bangladesh as it stands right now. And then the 4 sides from the Cricket World Cup qualifier playoff, which you would have to imagine, as of right now, it's looking very likely that it will be certainly UAE and Nepal at that, alongside maybe Namibia, who could end up hosting it, possibly Canada too, but Canada only have a 3-point gap to catch up over Oman. So all to play for across the last 18 months or so of this competition. For me, what I would say is that Nepal probably need to win, you would imagine, of their 17 remaining games, they're probably going to need to win at least 9 of them to have any chance of getting up into the top 6. If you finish 7th or 8th in this league, you can be relegated and lose your ODI status. It doesn't mean you automatically do, but there is a possibility for that to happen if you end up finishing beneath one of the Cricket World Cup Challenge League sides that come up. At the moment, those 4 slots are held by Kuwait and Jersey in Group A, and then it's Italy and Uganda in Group B, Hong Kong nipping at their heels. So real concern for Nepal. They're in a very difficult and invidious position now. You have to think they're a bit unlucky. If you look at their net run rate, it's really not that far behind Canada, who've got 9 points more than them. It's almost the exact same. So appreciate how emotional everyone is. I'm seeing all the comments coming in here. We will get to those questions in the coming moments, but just to wrap up the table: USA 4 points clear at the top. Nepal stuck after 19 matches. They've won 5, they've lost 12. 12 defeats already out of 19 games. The 2 non-results gives them a total of 12 points. And you have to remember, the first tiebreaker will be most wins. So with Nepal already having 2 washouts, that's not very helpful either. Altogether, it's a pretty difficult looking situation for Nepal. They will almost consider that final game on the 5th of November in 4 days' time, that'll be held at the ICC Academy Ground again, as an absolute must win. They're getting into that kind of territory, because if not, the UAE, if they win their last 2 games in this series, they will join Nepal and go past them, because of the fact that they'll have more wins, and they'll join them on 12 points. And that would put Nepal bottom of the table for the end of 2025 and leaving an incredibly difficult 2026 ahead. The silver lining to all of this: there are 8 home matches remaining for Nepal. They're the only side to have that benefit up their sleeve, because they weren't able to play a home series this year with the TU International Cricket Ground being renovated. So ultimately, we're looking at a situation now where, it's going to be very, very difficult for Nepal to come back. So let's have a look at the questions. I'm going to stick you into a timeout, Technical Tree Deep. I don't want to see that message. That's not very kind. Sandeep Sharma says, Sir Namaskar, I just joined. I have exams tomorrow. Is there any chance of Nepal qualifying still? Yes, absolutely. Nepal could finish 8th in this league and still go to the World Cup. I know that is confusing, but that's the way the structure works. Now, they'd have to do it the hard way, and they would head to the qualifier playoff with ODI status on the line. But if they got through that, there's 4 places that will still be decided at the Cricket World Cup qualifier from the playoff. That's 4 from 8. So you in theory have a 50-50 chance. If you head there having finished 5th or 6th in this league, you cannot lose your ODI status. If you head there having finished 7th or 8th in this league, you can lose your ODI status. So that makes sense. Cricket Nepal says, we know the feeling of Irie. What Andrew said, Irie never going to drop that catch. Irie missing direct hit as well as Ja dropped the catch. Yeah. Good fielders have bad days, and that was a bad day for Dipender Singh Irie by his very high standards. A little bit of the fatigue. Priyatnaya Bandari says, how good does your memory need to be to talk about the stats for being a commentator? Yeah, look, I watch a lot of cricket, an unhealthy amount of cricket. That's what I love doing. I adore the sport, so I analyze it an awful lot. And you know, from looking at you think about where Nepal are at in this league, and you look at the ICC Men's Cricket World Cup League 2 standings in terms of the points tables and the statistics behind it. There's a reason why Nepal are in 7th. I think USA now have 5 batters. I'll get that checked, but I think they certainly have 4 batters in the top 10 run scorers in this league, and they're dominating this league for a reason. George Munsey has single-handedly kept Scotland up at the top of the table, and Max O'Dowd, despite at points not looking in the best form, great to see he's just been signed for the Nepal Premier League. He's the 3rd leading run scorer. He's averaging over 40 as well, and he just keeps grinding those runs out to keep the Netherlands in that top 3. Scott Edwards is a good campaign too. So yeah, if we look at the top run scorers, 3 of the top 5 are from USA, and it is 5 of the top 11. Shayan Jahangir nearly forcing his way into that top 10. So Milind Kumar is averaging 60 with best part of 900 runs. Manak Patel hasn't had a great series, but he's over 800 runs, average of 40. And Saiteja Mukamala, who I think alongside Sanjay Krishnamurthy are going to be the bedrock of American cricket for the next decade plus. And remember, both born and bred and home produced players through the American domestic system. So I've seen some of the comments and some of the unfair criticism of USA, but New Jersey's Saiteja Mukamala and California's Sanjay Krishnamurthy are very much home produced players. The brilliance of the minor league and major league cricket systems there, helping those players develop and get good exposure, is giving a situation and a position whereby they're competing with the very best and they're getting their opportunities up in the top 6. And then if you look at the leading wicket takers, again, that's an area where Nepal would often have found themselves up towards the top of. And despite Lamachani's brilliance, he's got 22 wickets, but he's down in 17th place in the leading wicket takers, the likes of Bernard Schultz, Shakil Ahmed, Carl Klein, Dylan Hayliger, Paul van Meekeren, Kalim Sana, all with 34 wickets or more, and in really, really good strong performances. But it's the consistency of USA. Look at their bowling attack. Netravalkar, Harmeet Singh, Nosh Kenjige, Jesse Singh and Milind Kumar, all with 27 wickets or more. And that's, again, why they're top of the table. They're dominating this league for a reason, and they deserve to be top of the table. I think within all the Nepal discussions, we might get pulled away from how good USA have been, and they deserve every bit of praise, particularly Pupa Dasanayak, an extraordinary coach, an extraordinary human, and deserves every bit of his success. Remember, won the Nepal Premier League, the inaugural edition last year with Janak Porpal. Sadly, he won't be back now because he has this new job. Okay, let's get to some questions. If you're sending a question in, tell me where you're watching from. Always love to see which part of the world you're in. Roshan asks, do the top 6 or the top 4 retain ODI status? The top 6 are guaranteed to retain ODI status, no matter what, for the next cycle. 7th and 8th could keep their ODI status, but they will head to the playoff with it at risk, and with the 4 sides from the Cricket World Cup Challenge League desperate to take it off them, just like Canada took it off Papua New Guinea in the last cycle. Okay, Bibas Bastola says, bad luck for Nepal when you're not there in the commentary box. I don't think there's any correlation, but I'm obviously gutted that they've lost the last 3 games. There were times in Oman, though, where Nepal were lucky, to be honest. So I would say that, there's been shades of this coming, and it's difficult changing between the 2 formats. They have to field and play to their quality and their level, and they haven't done that throughout the games. Pritam Yadav says, catch, drop, match, drop. Yes, catches win matches. There's a reason why that old saying is so important. Zubakuru says, why isn't Lalaj Rajbanshi's ball turning like Harmeet Singh? I'm watching from Butwal in Nepal. Lovely to hear from you, mate. I want to get down to Butwal at some point. I'm hearing good things about that part of Nepal. It's a good question. I don't think Lalaj Rajbanshi's quite getting the revs on the ball that he usually does. I thought he bowled with good control again today, but yeah, there's just a bit of bite lacking, isn't there? These things can be very marginal at release point. You can be talking about, you feel like you're out of rhythm. You can't quite explain it. Spin bowling is a lot about muscle memory and the feel of the ball coming out. For me as a wrist spinner, or for the finger spinners as well, in his case, the left arm finger spin. And sometimes you can't put your finger on why it's not coming out perfectly. And I do think of all the things that have surprised me about these 3 games, although it's an ongoing problem, I think the biggest thing that Nepal have to fix is their weakness against left arm spin. And it continues to be an issue. And, maybe that's a case for Kushal Malla to get in there at number 4, given how strong he is against left arm spin, or number 5. And it's obviously disappointing. Poor old Gulshan Jah just hasn't had 3 good games with the bat after being exceptional in the T20 qualifier. Without him, Nepal may not have qualified. So, difficult. Biraj Tiwari says, Takli Udai, you should visit the Extra Tech Oval. I've been there, down in beautiful Tilatama in Lumbini. It's now the official home ground of the Lumbini Lions. I saw that announcement. I was privileged to be invited down to go and visit the birthplace of Lord Gautam Buddha. When was that? At the start of last year, maybe. And I'm desperate to get back to Nepal at some point soon. So hopefully I'll be invited down. Bharat Kadka, thank you so much, Dandavad, for that. It's very sweet. Raghunath Gautam says Nepal lost the winning match. This was the game for them to win. I would definitely agree with that. Okay, let's see what other questions we've got coming in. We'll do a few more on YouTube, and then we'll come to them on YouTube or on Facebook. Although that's a really good question. You say 5th and 6th ranking teams retain ODI status. My question is that if the challenge team get on the global qualifier, do they get ODI status in the global qualifier? Yes. All the games at the Cricket World Cup qualifier playoff and all the games at the Cricket World Cup qualifier will have ODI status, no matter what. That's why Jersey played those 5 ODIs last time. Despite not having ODI status permanently now, they did play 5 ODIs. And of course, when you think about the quality of their team, they're going to certainly be one of the ones who'll be looking to take Nepal or UAE's ODI spots as it stands right now. Madan Subedi says, lack of left-handed batsman on the Nepal top order batting lineup is lacking an extra left-arm spin. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. I think they've got to consider getting Kushal Malla into the side. I think that's a really good point. Abhishek Bhatta says, it was not our day today. Gulshan will catch that 9 times out of 10. Maybe the floodlights directly in their eyes. I don't think the floodlights were on at that point. Might be wrong, but I'd agree he would catch that 9 times out of 10. Aaron Shahi says, is the death bowling still a concern? I thought Nandan Yadav bowled well today. Was definitely getting the ball to reverse a little bit. Yes, he got hit for those 2 sixes right at the death, but Harmeet Singh can do that to anyone. I thought actually on the whole he bowled really well. 9 overs, 1 for 46, could have been better. I was a bit surprised again with the lack of use of Dipender Singh Airi. I think he bowled his first over in the 44th. Again, I referred to it. The two misfields in that over were really costly. They both cost singles. One of them cost a run out, and the next ball went for 6. Those small things are just going against Nepal right now in this series. Ganesh Pun says, Andrew, do you think Nepal should go with the extra batsman instead of Lalit? Not scoring enough runs. That would be an option. It would be playing to their strengths of the amount of all-rounders they have, and they could definitely piece together 10 overs between Kushal Malla, Arif Sheikh, Dipender Singh Airi, Gulshan Jah, Rohit Paudel. I think that could definitely be an option. They might try to assess what the surface is looking like. Anish Kandel says, any big players coming in the Nepal Premier League? Any hints? I know of one very big player still to come. Obviously, you saw the Faf du Plessis announcement. And then a couple of really solid, very good ones too. I was delighted to see the signing of Alpesh Ramjani, for example, from Uganda. I think the fact we're getting some of the best players in associate cricket is really good. I'd love to see Bernard Schultz get a deal from Namibia, and I'd love to see JJ Smith get a deal from Namibia as well, just to pick out 2 names. Surely someone's got to come in for Scotty Edwards and Paul Van Meekeren as well, I would imagine. But yeah, there is a fairly big name. And we did see the sad news today, the announcement from confirmation from Jimmy Neesham that he won't be coming back. Again, you have to remember, you can only have 4 current full member internationals that have played a full member international in the last 18, or I think it's 24 months. So that's limiting the numbers that they can get. Faf du Plessis doesn't sit into that because he hasn't played international cricket in a while. But yeah, there is more of those to come at the moment. I think it's just Scott Kugelheim, isn't it, that fulfills that that role. And that's if he's played in the last 2 years. Let's have a look. Yeah, he did. He played as recently as 2014, so he will fulfill that role. And remember, he was excellent. I think he was one of the leading wicket takers in the last series. Pradeep Gurung says, what do you say, Rohit, using part-time bowlers after the 40 overs, not using between 34th and 40th? Yeah, I think that's a good shout. I think Dipender Singh Ari could have been used in that second power play and maybe should have been. Umesh Rejmi says, the team seems tactically rigid and Cam must urgently invest in proper data analytics, a mental conditioning coach, and specialised batting consultant. Look, Nick Pothas is in there. I think he'll be fulfilling a lot of those roles. You have to say that Stuart Law's done a phenomenal job since he's come into the position as head coach. Just because they've lost these 3 games doesn't mean that they're doing things wrong. But certainly, they'll be really disappointed to have lost these games, and they know how important they are. And I know on a personal level, Stuart Law will have been sensationally motivated to win the 2 games against USA, and that didn't quite happen. Parag Yadav says the captain should be changed. I don't agree with that in any way, shape, or form. I think Rohit Paudel is the current captain and should be the captain for quite a period coming up. So why don't I do a little poll here on YouTube? I've done this before. Will Nepal finish in the top 6? Good question. And guarantee ODI status for next cycle. Yes or no? Get involved with that poll there. There you go. If you aren't subscribed on YouTube, please do subscribe. I've just tipped 80,000, I think. So try to get to 100,000 by the end of the year. Okay, time for questions on Facebook. So if you're watching on here, tell me where you're watching from and what questions have you got. Dipesh Sapkota says, my hero, sir, are you married or not? Just for fun, don't mind Tackly Die. I'm not married, no. I keep my personal life pretty private. But yeah, as of right now, not married and don't intend to get married anytime soon. I hope that answers that question. But very much enjoying life. I'm very, very happy. Abhishek Bada says, maybe Sandeep was not given bowling in the most important stages. I think he did bowl in the most critical overs, and I thought he bowled really well. Bikade Powell Thakuri says, Tackly I am so sad. I empathise with you. I can feel the pain. Sanjeev Acharya says, I think Dipender Singh Ari should be captain. I can't agree. I think Rohit Paudel is the captain for a reason, and he's a fantastic young leader. Really enjoying all these. There's a lot of engagement today, guys. Great to have you all on. I think Nepal played better cricket. They were outplayed today. I'm sad that Nepal fans weren't allowed in the ICC Academy. Yeah, I saw there was about 100 in, including one lovely moment when I think Kushal Patel took that excellent catch and the fans hugging up in the top. That filled my heart with a lot of joy. Really sad to see that some Nepal fans had issues getting in, and I'm sorry to hear that. If there was anything I could do, I will. There's a couple of people I'll try get in contact with again. I already have. Nice to hear from someone watching on from Sudar Pashim. I have to get out to there at some point. I hear that it is the most beautiful place out in the far west. Jivan Busal says, you're unmarried. That's why you have a glow in your face. I don't know about that. But a good comment. Ramesh Mahara, nice to see you. Tilak Shrestha says, namaste. Prashant Gary says, Rohit's captaincy is still the question. Preferring Bertel over Dippy in the middle overs. So what he's doing there is a matchup thing. So he's saying there's 2 right-handers on strike. Kushal Patel has got this phenomenal wicket-taking record in T20 cricket, and I'm going to back him to do the same in ODI cricket. He hasn't bowled particularly well the last 3 weeks, sadly. He's a part-time bowler, like he is. He's got a phenomenal record in T20Is. But, he's taken 17 wickets in 64 ODIs. He's been wicketless in his last 5 matches. He's a part-time bowler. He's in the team for his batting. In fact, if you actually look at his last 8 games, he hasn't picked up a wicket. Last time he took a wicket was against Kuwait. You have these, with leg spin, it's the most difficult art in the world for a reason. He's a great asset to have to try and find a wicket. Someone says Lalit is not bowling his best length. Yeah, it might be a little bit defensive. Pyrak, yes, I hear you. No need to send multiple times. Just send once, please. Jimmy Neesham can't come for because of the ICC rules. Yeah, I understand the sanctioning issue, but I really hope that that's going to change. If not for this season, for next season. So yeah, Dipesh says, please marry a Nepali girl. They're very disciplined and intelligent. All Nepali people are great, and I love spending time there. I'm desperate to get back soon. Hemant Sapkota says, will you come to the Nepal Premier League for commentary? let's hope. I would absolutely love to. It would be amazing if I'm invited back. I adore Nepal. You guys know how much I love the country. So let's hope. Arjun Biss says, hello, sir. How are you today? Doing okay. I'm tired, as you can see. The game started at a terrible time back here in Ireland. It's 5:30 a.m. So didn't get much sleep and really, yeah, desperately sad for the country. I thought they deserved to win today. It was the game for them to win today. They didn't deserve to win because they dropped those catches. But yeah, Sahaj Dakal says the chances of the top four. Very difficult from here, I'll be honest. If I get a look at the current standings once more, let's run through that once more. You're looking at a position whereby what might be actually really interesting if we compare this to the first cycle, if we look at how many games they needed to win to finish in that top three as it was then. Let's just get a look at that. Remember that historic run of 11 wins from 12, the Netflix series finish. Nepal there, they played 36, they won 19, lost 15. In this cycle, they've already lost 12. Nice to see you, Sushant. You should get to sleep soon. It's 2:17 a.m. there in Australia. Big shout out to Sushant Bhattarai there. They're going to have to play exceptionally well to finish in the top four from here. That's the reality. So they would have to, they've got 17 games left. I think for a realistic top four slot, they're going to have to win 19. They're going to have to win 14 of their last 17. That's it. Maybe 13 will do it. Maybe 12 will do it. But that's how tough this task is. And that's the wake-up call. So it all starts in 4 days' time. They've got to beat the UAE. It's a must-win game. I put up a post a couple of days ago saying it's a bit early to say must-win games for anything, but they're into must-win territory now. Dipesh Sapkota says, in which country do you live, sir? I don't really live anywhere at the moment because I'm on the road so much, but Ireland is where I'm from. That's my home. And that's where I am for the next week or so before I head off to my next gig. Prabhan Chowdhury says, why are you not commentating the series? There was just a lack of budget because of all the different grounds they're using. I was initially booked and I'd blocked out the time and was desperate to be there. But yeah, it sadly hasn't happened. And I found it really, really tough, actually. Having to watch on each day has been painful. Nice to hear from someone in Dubai there. Saraj Magar says back-to-back 3 losses. Thank you so much, Hikmat. Much love back to everyone in Nepal as well. Sahaj Dakal says, which is higher, bottom 2 chance or top 4? As of right now, more likely to finish in the bottom 2. But I think that's where you might need to realign the sights. And actually 5th or 6th isn't a bad place to finish. It means you'll have to head off to the Cricket World Cup qualifier playoff and take one of those 4 spots. Nirpaz Saud says, you beauty Takluda. I love you. Very kind. Dandavad. Prashant Gari says, when did I start following cricket in Nepal? I've always followed the associate game very closely. I think back to I'm from Ireland, which was an associate nation. So I've always been fascinated with every single developing country, and I've always wanted the game to grow around the world. And I think back to my first memories of international cricket, which was the 1997 ICC trophy, where I was dreaming of Ireland qualifying for a first World Cup and following it. We didn't even have the internet back then. We had a thing called teletext on our television that gave like text updates. And that was, me following Ireland losing heartbreakingly to Kenya in Kuala Lumpur in 97, and then coming up just short to Scotland in the playoff as well. And Scotland qualified for that World Cup. I remember how devastated I was vividly. I love World Cups. I love sports that grow and expand and show the beauty of why we enjoy them. And I've always been fascinated by the potential of all the associate nations. I adored Kenya through the early 2000s. And then when I started working for Cricket Ireland as one of the leading associates, I became massively enamored with Afghanistan's journey and then Nepal's journey as well. The team probably first came to my attention ahead of the 2014 T20 World Cup. I remember the qualifiers in 11 and 13 in the UAE. And I remember watching this side play with such passion with a great fan base. And then in 2015, the qualifier in Ireland and Scotland, I was working for ICC at this point. So I did 3 years for Cricket Ireland and 3 years for ICC. And I vividly remember meeting Paris and Gyanendra and Sharad Visakar and all the boys. And that had heartbreakingly just come a matter of weeks after the most devastating earthquake in Kathmandu. And we did this this feature. I was part of the ICC digital team, but we worked with the broadcast team hand in hand, and we did this feature about how the team hadn't been able to train, and how so many of the players had lost friends and family in the earthquake. And I remember being desperately affected by it. And it was a beautiful feature of the most tragic thing. And then Nepal didn't have a great tournament, obviously, because they hadn't played much. But I remember vividly, we posted one clip. It was of it's Paresh Lahani's cousin, Siddhant Lahani, who hit a helicopter shot for 6 at Malahide, and there was Nepal fans going bonkers about it. And we did, I don't know, 5 million views of that clip online. And I remember going, wow. And then I started looking into the ICC's analytics, and Nepal was, in the top 5. And a couple of times they crashed our website when we had, back then we didn't have live streaming. We just had live scoring coverage of their games, and it wasn't anywhere else. And I was telling my boss that Nepal fans had crashed the ICC website, and she didn't believe me. And I was like, they have. It's outstripping the demand that even an India game is. So, and that fascination has just got, I guess, more and more since I've first traveled to the country and been there over 30 times now. Sorry, that was a very long answer. Raju Giri says, unlucky today. We were at one point, I thought we were going to win. Yeah, Nepal were in a great shape. Prabin, thanks a million. You don't need to send the message more than once. You're very welcome to replying to your comments. Santosh says, love you, Taklu Dai. Thank you very much. That's very kind. Dandavad. Santosh says, hello, brother, Mr. Leonard, namaste. Rojan says, I'm very sad. I understand it's been a difficult 3 matches. There's no doubt about that. RKM Music over on YouTube says, I think the 47th over was the mistake. Sorry, I have to interrupt myself. Dipesh says, you speak very well. I will take responsibility to find a girl for you in Nepal. Many thanks to you and the mother. That's a great comment. Many thanks to you and to your mother who gave birth to you. I'll pass it on to my mother. She'll be very pleased with that. Oh, you guys make me laugh sometimes, even in sad times. Sorry, the question over on YouTube was about the 47th over. Yeah, it was 29 to win off 3, and I suppose the 6 and then the 4 from that Lamachani over with the drop catch from Irie. Ended up sadly changing things. Okay, 10 minutes left. I'm going to do last 10 minutes. Get your questions in. Tell me where you're watching from as well. We'll start with a couple on YouTube, then we'll do a couple on Facebook, and we'll finish with the best ones. Krishna Nepali says, what about Kishore Mahato? Good question. I think he's a very, very, very talented bowler. I think he's a really good operator in those middle overs in ODI cricket. Let's hope he's going to be there in the Nepal Premier League. Let's see how he goes. Rup Jung Mala says, why do you think our batsmen have lost confidence against left-arm bowlers? I presume you mean left-arm spinners there. I don't know, but this hasn't like developed over the last month. There is a technical fragility against left-arm spin for, I would say, particularly the top 3 in the order. Asif Sheikh, Kushal Patel in particular, and Bim Sharkey are struggling a little bit with the left-arm spin. I think Powell plays it pretty well. And then I suppose you're just looking, Depender Singh replayed it well today, but you're looking at a situation whereby, could Kushal Mala be in that side? They're probably trying to fit 12 into 11, aren't they? Nice to hear from you, Jivan Panta. That's very kind of you to say. Manoj says, Nepal lost due to the unavailability of me. I promise you there's no correlation. I really appreciate the love and the kindness, but the boys play brilliantly with or without me. And, they've obviously just not had their 3 best games. Prayatna Bandari says, I'm sure you were here to bring us to a normal state after all us watching today's match with high blood pressure. With 3 to go, I was just about to put out a message saying the cardiac kids are at it again. And then the ball got hit for 6. And I went, oh God, this game could be gone here. Laxman Powdle says, with Nepal's poor ODI performance, the fading dream of becoming a test nation and declining form, is there any still real chance for Nepal to finish in the top 4? Yeah, so look, the reason Ireland and Afghanistan got test status, there are political aspects to this. The 2 of them ascended to test status at the same time, but the reason they got there was because of the consistency of their performances at the highest echelon of associate cricket. Ireland won the treble back when the ICC Intercontinental Cup was a thing. The 4-day competition, the first class competition, they won the treble of the ICC Intercontinental Cup, the World Cricket League Championship as it was then, and the T20 World Cup qualifier. they knocked so heavily on the door. They beat England at World Cups. They beat Pakistan at World Cups. They beat West Indies at World Cups. They beat Zimbabwe at World Cups. 50 over World Cups. They were the poster child for the best associate by a distance. And then Afghanistan came up just a little bit after them, and actually have really surpassed them now, to be honest. And there's much like in Nepal, there's such a passion for the game there. And the quality of their on-field performances started to really rival Ireland. And that's why those two ascended deservedly to test status. If Nepal are going to do it, they're going to need to play better in the ODI format, 100%. It doesn't mean that they can't do it in due course. It's a process. It's a journey. They do now have first ever wins over a full member nation thanks to those 2 Unity Cup T20 wins. And actually, if you go on the ICC website, you can even just Google this actually. The criteria for test status, there is a playing criteria, both in terms of men's and women's cricket, and the wins for those sides over full members. Prakash Lawati says, I'm watching you from Dunmurry in County Cork. Well, Fulcher Rowett to you. That means many welcomes to you, Oscailiga in my language. How do I say you're very welcome in Nepali? How do I say that? I know to say thank you, so Dandavad, and then, yeah, someone tell me if possible. So Prakash says, I'm really saddened by our last 3 performances. Yeah, I can understand, mate. Gutted. Gutted for the boys. I know they're trying their best. I've said it before, my brain is, I'm going to just quickly pull that up. Yeah, Swagatham. Swagatham is you're welcome in Nepal. So Dandavad Swagatham. But you are very welcome, Fulcher Rowett. RCB, Angelo Matthews is the one player signed by the Lumbody Lions or other, to be confirmed. You'll have to wait and hear. Swagatham, correct, Govinda. Thank you. Thank you, Manoj. You guys helping me out. Okay, Suhan Shrestha says ICC enforces a rule that only 4 foreign nationals can be included in any country squad. What's my thinking on this, Takludai? I don't like it, and I don't think it's right, because other associate leagues are allowed to have as many full member players as they want, like Major League Cricket, which is an awesome league and I worked on this summer. Like the ILT20, Nepal should be entitled to that in due course as well. I understood for the first year they didn't want to sanction it fully, but I think with how good a show that was put on last year, I think they certainly deserve it this year, and let's hope that's the case. Sushan, watching on from Sydney, Australia. Nice to hear from you. Difesh says, may you keep smiling like this, live for 100 years and keep doing your commentary. Love you, Takludai. Mate, that'd be a dream. I feel very lucky to be here with you guys and getting to do what I'm doing full time. I'm so grateful for that. Okay, we're going to do the last 5 questions, last 5 minutes. So make your questions good, but you only get your question read out if you tell me where you're messaging from. So have a think about a good question you want answered. I'm just going to answer this one before I get into them, because this is a question I'm getting repeatedly. If Nepal finish in the bottom 2, do they lose their ODI status? No, but they go to the qualifier playoff, potentially with the jeopardy of losing their ODI status. Exact same situation as Papua New Guinea last time, who finished 7th and bottom in that first edition of Cricket World Cup League 2. They then finished beneath Canada in the playoff down in Namibia, and as a consequence, they lost their ODI status. So yeah, nice to hear from Brett Naya watching on from this house behind the TU ground up in Kurdapur and Kathmandu. Okay, so let's get 5 good questions. Let's have a look at what we're going to get. Namaste to Tamang, namaste Bibek, Laxman, to Pawan, to Manoj, to Adarsh, to Laxmi, to Sub Belbase, to Pushpa Shah Mala. Okay, this is a good question. Thanks for this one, Pushpa. Pushpa says, do you think that our pitch's bad quality is responsible for the lack of development in batters and pacers? I think historically that would have been the case 5 or 10 years ago. But I think right now the pitches at the TU ground are exceptional, and the Bangladeshi groundsman who's come across to the Mulpani have created really good ground playing surfaces. So I don't think that's the case anymore. I do think there's a bit of an issue against left arm spin, and they need to find an answer to that. No doubt about it. Princess Mary says, hello, Takludai, namaste. Sushan says, I hope we're watching all Nepal games in the future with you, Takludai. It's very nice. Okay, let's get to this one. Pokemon over, I'm not sure that's your real name, Pokemon, is it? But he says, why are Nepal's players degrading their game currently rather than improving? I don't think that's the case. I think you have to understand that play between the two formats is different. And ODI cricket is very tough, and it requires a different skill set to the one they've been focusing on for the last 12 weeks. Remember, they went down to the top end T20 to prepare for the Unity Cup, to prepare for the critical qualifier. They've qualified for the World Cup. So, that is exactly where the hopes and the dreams of the nation wanted to be. They haven't adjusted particularly well into a tough ODI series now against the USA and UAE, and they've lost all 3 games. Govinda Pandya, sorry, this is a great question. Govinda Pandya says, what's your career goal? I see you, the top commentator in the world already in your 40s. God bless. That's so sweet. I'm certainly not the top commentator in the world, but I feel like I love doing what I do, and I'm hopefully continuing to get better and better at it and bring a lot of passion and love and joy to it. I felt really, really lucky. I feel really lucky to be doing this full time now. So I'm hoping that'll be the case for a long time going forward. And some of the gigs I've had this year have been phenomenal, particularly Major League Cricket. To do all 5 weeks of that was just amazing. To be doing Test match cricket again, to be calling a lot of Ireland's and Afghanistan's games, to be doing a lot of Nepal's games has been phenomenal. So long may that continue. And I'm really grateful for you guys, because without you guys and your support and helping, you're so kind to me online and in person. Without you, I wouldn't be getting even 10% of what I'm getting to do. So thank you. Basanta Rijal says, do you think that CAN is focused only on T20 cricket? No, not at all. It's very difficult to balance the two, though. It really is tough. And they've probably got a little bit caught out. They played well today, and today was the game to win against the best side in the league. But they came up just short. Critical moments, pressure. It's a tough league with brilliant teams. It's my favourite league in the world of cricket. I adore it. Cricket World Cup League 2 is outstanding. Love everything about it. So, okay, last 2 questions, one on each channel. Let's go with Dar Dakals, who says, Taklu Day, the game was very good today, but Nepal, because of their mistakes in fielding, came up short. Can you tell me more? Look, those critical moments, those big moments they lost. You take any one of those 4 chances, the 2 missed runouts or the 2 drops, it could be a very different game. You can never really anticipate as to how much a drop catch affects things, and no one ever tries to drop a catch, and generally Nepal's fielding has been phenomenal. Pratik Thapa says, please come to UAE for commentary for the last match because you're a lucky charm. I would love to. I'm not sure it's going to be possible. I was hoping to get out for the last game. Let's see. Okay, and final question over on YouTube. Who's got a good one? Okay, it's a good one from Hensi. Hensi says, what are the future ODI fixtures for Nepal? Whilst I can't tell you what the potential ODI bilateral fixtures are because none of those are announced, what I can do is tell you what Nepal's 4 remaining series in ICC Men's Cricket World Cup League 2 are. They will host 2 of them. So they will host Oman and the United Arab Emirates earlier in the year next year. I think that's very likely for February or March, probably March. They will then travel in August across to the Netherlands to take on the Netherlands and Namibia. That will be a tough series. They will then go back to Oman in October to take on Canada and the hosts Oman. And in the final series they will play, which could actually push as late as December, particularly depending upon exactly where the Nepal Premier League slot is for 2026. They host Scotland and the USA in their final series. How tough is that going to be? Probably the 2 best teams in the tournament. So that's going to give you a pretty good picture of the scale of the challenge. Despite 8 of those 16 remaining games after this series being at home, they're going to be in big trouble unless they get winning soon. And it makes the game on the 5th in 4 days' time maybe the most important in Nepal's recent ODI history. Maybe, in fact, the most important since March 16th, 2023, when they won that famous game in front of 30,000 plus, a day I will never forget with the fading light. And in fact, I might go and just watch that little clip of that final minute right now to remind me of some good times. Guys, going to wrap it up. 45 minutes or so. Really enjoy you joining me as always. Thank you for the stars. Thank you for contributions on there. Going to give you the result of the poll as well. 73% of you, the fans, say that Nepal can finish in the top 6 and guarantee retention of their ODI status. I'd go with that. I think they'll probably finish 5th or 6th. Top 4 is going to be a hell of an effort. Don't rule it out, because when those boys get in a row, anything can happen. Credit and congratulations again to the United States of America. I'm going to say good night and thank you. And I will leave you, Sebastian, with that last little secret there is one very, very big name still to come. At least there's actually more than one, but there's one in particular big name, a bit like Faf du Plessis, that's going to get everyone very excited for that Nepal Premier League season 2. It's going to be bigger and better than ever. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. I'll keep getting back to all your messages on social. Love engaging with you guys, and much love from me. All right, bye for now.
All back now.